Imagine a world cloaked in ice. A vast, frozen landscape stretching as far as the eye can see. In this unforgiving world, a giant is born. A baby woolly mammoth, covered in a shaggy coat of ginger fur, takes its first wobbly steps under the watchful eye of its mother and the protection of the herd. This is the beginning of a life that will be defined by survival, family, and the relentless rhythm of the Ice Age. The little mammoth, whom we'll call Luba, after a famous real-life mammoth calf, spends its early years glued to its mother's side. It learns the essential skills of mammoth life: how to use its tiny, developing trunk to pluck tough tundra grasses, how to navigate the treacherous frozen terrain, and most importantly, how to communicate with the deep rumbles and calls of the herd. The herd is its lifeblood, a moving fortress of fur, tusks, and muscle. The matriarch, the oldest and wisest female, leads them on epic seasonal migrations, following the scarce vegetation across the mammoth steppe. She knows the ancient routes, the safe river crossings, and where to find shelter from the biting winds. As Luba grows, its ginger baby fur is replaced by a thick, dark brown coat with long guard hairs that can reach over 3 feet long, acting like a protective cloak against snow and ice. Beneath, this is a dense, woolly undercoat, providing an incredible layer of insulation. Its small ears and short tail minimize heat loss, perfect adaptations for this frigid environment. It watches the adult bulls, magnificent creatures with immense, curving tusks that can grow up to 15 feet long. These aren't just for a show. They are vital tools for digging for food under the snow and for defense against the formidable predators of the era, like the fearsome saber-toothed cat or the giant short-faced bear. Years pass, and our young mammoth is now a fully grown bull, standing over 11 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing a staggering 6 tons. The once teeny tusks are now formidable, spiraling weapons. Driven by instinct, he leaves the maternal herd he grew up in, a necessary step for all young males. He may roam alone for a time or join a small bachelor herd of other bulls. Life is a constant challenge of finding enough food to fuel his massive body and staying vigilant against danger. Then, the call of nature becomes impossible to ignore. He can sense it in the air, a scent carried on the wind that tells him a female is ready to mate. He tracks her down, but he's not the only one. Other massive bulls have answered the same call. What follows is a spectacular and dangerous display of dominance. The bulls face off, trumpeting challenges that echo across the plains. They engage in fierce battles, clashing their colossal tusks together with thunderous force, pushing and shoving in a primal test of strength. The winner earns the right to mate, ensuring that only the strongest genes are passed on to the next generation. After a long gestation period of nearly 2 years, a new calf is born, and the cycle of life begins anew. For thousands upon thousands of years, this was the way of the mammoth. They were the undisputed kings of the frozen north, shaping the very landscape they walked upon. Their grazing habits maintained the grassy steppes, preventing forests from taking over. They were a keystone species, a fundamental part of a thriving Ice Age ecosystem. They seemed invincible, perfectly adapted to their world. But their world was about to change in ways they could not possibly withstand. Around 12,000 years ago, the planet began to warm. The great ice sheets that had dominated the northern hemisphere started to retreat. At first, this might have seemed like a good thing, a relief from the relentless cold. But for the mammoths, it was a catastrophe. The vast, open grasslands, the mammoth steppe that was their feeding ground, began to shrink. Wet, boggy ground and dense, coniferous forests started to take over. This new landscape was not mammoth-friendly. Their broad feet, perfect for walking on snow, got stuck in the marshy terrain. The trees offered little of the grasses they needed to survive, and the forests made them more vulnerable to a new and incredibly intelligent predator: humans. Our ancestors, who had once hunted mammoths with great difficulty and risk, were becoming more sophisticated. They developed more effective hunting techniques, like driving herds off cliffs or into ambushes. For these early humans, a single mammoth was a treasure trove of resources. Tons of meat, a thick hide for shelter and clothing, and massive bones and tusks for tools, weapons, and even art. The pressure from both a changing climate and human hunting was immense. The mammoth populations began to plummet. Herds became smaller, more fragmented, and isolated from one another. This genetic isolation was another nail in their coffin. With a smaller gene pool, they became more susceptible to diseases and birth defects. The once mighty giants were trapped in a pincer movement of environmental change and predation. Their numbers dwindled across mainland Siberia and North America. The very last woolly mammoths made their final stand on a small, isolated island off the coast of Siberia, Wrangel Island, cut off from the mainland by rising sea levels. A small population of a few hundred mammoths survived here for thousands of years longer than their mainland relatives. They were a relic of a bygone era, living fossils in a changing world. But their isolation was also their doom. Inbreeding weakened them further, and a sudden event, perhaps extreme weather or the eventual arrival of humans, finally pushed them over the edge. Around 4,000 years ago, the last woolly mammoth on Earth took its final breath. A silence fell over the tundra, where their thunderous footsteps and trumpeting calls once echoed. The age of the ice giants was over. Their story is a powerful and sobering reminder of how even the most dominant species can be brought to an end by the irresistible forces of climate change and the pressures of a new, rising power. Their legacy, however, lives on, frozen in the permafrost, whispering tales of a lost world of ice and giants. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past fascinating, please like this video and subscribe for more stories from our planet's incredible history.